So guys, this is a bit of a video I have to repost of big update coming. One day late, as you can see, one day late. Yeah, enjoy the video. Oh shit, so the video is over.
Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. So today I am going to be telling you what are all the new features in this update, and I'm also joined by Orange.
Hello.
But your animation didn't really work there.
The input lag.
Right, so I've made a list of stuff to cover because there is an absolute ton of stuff, and I don't need to give you some of the boring details like bug fixes and stuff, but I will tell you stuff which you would like to know. So let's get on with it. Right, so before I actually explain the first feature, let me just tell you that the entire plane system for PTFS has been completely
By the way, guys, I'm not actually with PTFS or something like that.
recoded from scratch, and I made it entirely for PTFS, so it works very well and has a ton of new PTFS exclusive features. So let's get into those. So the first thing you'll probably notice is there's actually no plane tool. The moment you get in the plane, it's just instant, straight away. You have the GUIs and you're ready to go. So the next thing is a brand new camera system. So the first bit of the camera system is the attach view is slightly different. In the old version, you could only look up and down normally. Now you can also look left and right while holding right click, but it will recenter the left and right movements when you release the click. So this is useful for taking a peek out at either side, maybe if you're doing formation flying or something, or you just want to have a look around, and then the moment you let go of right click, it will maintain your up and down look, but it will reset your left and right look. And before we take off, there are actually two new options in the options menu, so I will go to that now. Right, so in the options menu, you'll see we've got infinite fuel enabled and hold space to exit. So let's explain those. So infinite fuel, you can probably guess, basically it just means any plane you fly will never run out of fuel. It will always be at full fuel. And the second thing is hold space to exit. Before, when you clicked the space bar, if you have the option disabled, and in the current game, you'll just jump straight out if you tap spacebar. But now, with the option enabled, it means you have to hold it for a second before you actually jump out. This is to prevent you from accidentally jumping out. So as you can see, tapping it, I don't get out. I have to hold it for a second and then I get out. Oh no, I'm going to crash into this light post. But as you can see, you don't glitch out like mad when you crash into stuff. It just kind of holds you there. It's not a massive deal if you crash. You just sort of resume. And so that's one of the new features. Another of the new features is camera lock. So if you press, so here's what it looks like normally if you were to roll left and right. As you can see, the camera is staying perfectly level. If you press X on your keyboard, the camera actually locks to the plane, and regardless of how you move it, you still move it like you do normally, but except that your plane is now the center of the camera, and it works in first person and everything. If you have it, first person will always be locked to the plane, but yeah, this lets you change what it's like in the third person view. Alright, and another thing in the internal workings is that in the old version, it was coded in a way which meant that if you had a slower device, you'd actually accelerate slower. Now, what it does is it works out the time between each physics loop and uses that to ensure that regardless of frame rate, you'll always accelerate at the same speed. So if you ever had a bad device and you're trying to do formation flying with people, you'd probably notice that they accelerate a lot quicker than you if they have a faster device, but now that is not the case. And another thing is, when in advanced mode, when you use A and D for rudder, it smooths out, which feels a lot nicer. So another thing that's new in the new plane kit is that the throttle acts on a curve, meaning it's easier to modulate your speeds at lower throttles. So as you can see, I'm taxing here and I'm at 9% throttle but only going 5 knots. In the old version, if you went 9% throttle, it would be 9% of your top speed, so I'd be going much faster. And another new feature is that there are stall sounds for certain aircraft, so here on the Airbus you can hear that one, and also the stalling is more realistic. And another feature is that the throttle acts more like a throttle, in the sense that in the old version it was more of a speed cap. It kind of like limited your speed, and you'd, regardless of throttle, accelerate or decelerate at the same rate. Now, the acceleration is proportional to the throttle. So in most cases, the higher the throttle, the faster you'll accelerate. And another fairly large feature is that when you go in cruise mode, which is F, if the pilot jumps out, the plane remains in the sky. So you can walk around and then you can get back in and your throttle will still remain at the same percent, and when you uncruise you'll still be going at the same speed and you can resume your flight as normal. Another thing also is that when the pilot jumps out in cruise mode, it will automatically lock the plane so that only they can then get back in the pilot seat to prevent other people from stealing it from them. Another note is that fuel is no longer client-sided, so if you don't have infinite fuel on, what it means is that if you run out of fuel, it won't just be your screen that the fuel has run out for, it will be on the server, so everyone, that plane for everyone will have run out of fuel. Before, it was only for you, so if someone else got in, it would be at full fuel. So in the old version, when you were landing, you had to be careful not to stall your nose when you were touching down. So your back wheels might have touched down, but then you went too slowly and your nose would just flop onto the ground. Well, here's my attempt at a way around this. It's introducing a new concept called landing speed. So it's above landing speed is a window between your stall speed and your airborne speed, your takeoff speed. So if you're below your takeoff speed and above your stall speed, you'll see a green message appear called land speed. So I've got the land speed GUI showing. So what that means is that when I land and I touch my nose down, it will automatically switch me into the taxi mode, and then I can close my throttle, and there's no risk of me stalling my nose as long as I simply just keep in that land speed window. And before we move on to the massive feature of the new plane kit, this is also a fairly major new feature, and that is brand new Veto Mode. So previously, Veto Mode was completely separate from the normal flying mode. However, now it is not. It is integrated into it. And you'll notice when in a VTOL aircraft, you'll see I've got this separate VTOL throttle. And in VTOL aircraft, R and F are unbound from cruise and altitude hold and are reprogrammed to be VTOL throttle up and VTOL throttle down. You've also, of course, got your normal throttle, which is exactly the same as in non-VTOL aircraft. VTOL aircraft do fly exactly the same as normal aircraft now. There's not a separate mode for it. You know, you can fly them just as you would a normal aircraft. But they also have the VTOL throttle. So what does that mean? Well, if I just quickly land, so I've got my VTOL throttle. If I set it to about 60%, you'll notice I start to lift off. So around 40% is a perfectly level hover. All the way up to 100, you'll start ascending, and below 40%, you'll start descending. It's obviously been designed for ease of access and enjoyment, not realism. So you can actually combine the VTOL throttle with the normal throttle, and you can use this to do, for example, short takeoffs and short landings. So if I go about 31% VTOL throttle, for example, now when I do a takeoff, you'll see I get airborne much quicker than without any, and I can do those really cool short takeoffs. Similarly with short landings, if I go maybe 20% VTOL throttle, I don't need to be going that fast in order to do a nice landing. And there's Orange, who is getting run over. Now the big deal of the update, which I have saved till last. Right, so the big feature is shared cockpit. Yay! So I think in order to demonstrate this fully, I will be the co-pilot. So I'm going to jump out and let Orange be the pilot, and I will become the co-pilot. So I'm in the co-pilot seat, and as you can see, I still have the GY, but I'm not doing anything right now. Orange is doing all the flying. So if you take off Orange, you'll see when he moves the throttle and the flaps and everything, they all change for me. So I've got a duplicate GUI so that I can see what the pilot's doing. Okay, so I can see what they're doing, but I actually want to do stuff. Well, there are two types of control. You can either, there's three. There's the co-pilot, you can have no control, the pilot doesn't let them do anything. You can have limited control, or you can have full control. And so, yes, as you can see, I have full control right now, but we'll get into it step by step. So if you take back control to yourself, Orange, so if I press G and attempt to do flaps right now, nothing happens. Okay, now if you give me limited control by pressing the J key, what that means is that I can do gear and flaps, and this is useful if you want the co-pilot to handle that stuff. So you can give them limited control with the J key as the pilot. The co-pilot can't change any of the controls, only the pilot has access to give control and take control. So that's J does limited. Now if you press U, that gives me full control, and I'm actually the one flying the plane, and of course that means I can do flaps, I can do gear, but as the pilot he is also able to do gear and flaps. So if you do gear and flaps now, which as you can see I'm not doing that, he is doing that. So it actually lets you pass control fully or limitedly between the pilot and co-pilot, and at any point he can take the control back, and as you can see he took control, and he can give it, he can spam it if he really wants. But yes, this is quite a new, I think this is probably a first in Roblox, I'm not entirely sure. There may well be other games that let you do this, but this was probably the main reason why I wanted to completely make a brand new plane system, and that was just so things like this would fit in perfectly, and I wouldn't have to really hack them in. It would be more of an actual permanent solution.
Yeah.
So before we get into some of the non-plane related stuff, just a couple of other things that have been added. So the seating system is more reliable now. Just thought I'd let you know, so when you get in a seat it will probably register a lot quicker because it's using a different method. And also the server options panel is much better because you have much more control over the precise time of day, and it has been recoded internally, but you probably can't see much of a difference for the other things. Okay, now onto one of the most spectacular looking parts of the update. Obviously you can see there's a new sky. Wow. But if it magically becomes night, wow, it magically became night. Have a look at that.
Wow.
Wow, and what type of lights are there, I wonder?
Yeah, so we have different types of, I guess you call dynamic lights, which are on all the separate islands.
Sorry guys for that. Sorry.
As you can see, we're above Rockford now, so if you take a look at the city, if Sam's looking down there, he is, excellent. Yes. You can see the skyscrapers have several windows on each that are lit up. They also have the anti-collision lights on top of them. You can see the parking lot for the mall, if you're American, or the shopping centre if you're from the UK, has its own little parking lights. The streets, most of the main streets have street lights on them as well. And if you look at the airports, there's especially Mella, you can see in the distance the brighter sort of lights for the terminal that light up the parking areas. And if you look in the ocean as well, just past Mella, you can see the HMS Queen Elizabeth lit up as well. It just adds a nice extra bit of life to the game, especially when you're flying in at night to an airport. It looks lovely. If we fly over to Perth, let's cut it here, of course.
Fly over to Perth and then
bear with me, sir.
Just a second.
We just
On
need
our
the
way,
flipping Concorde for this.
Yeah, we can sort of look at dawn. Like the sky looks spectacular, doesn't it? It's dusky.
Oh yeah,
look at that.
Look at that. Beautiful.
Wow. And the lights are still on, so it looks, oh, what a view.
Mom, get the camera!
And now let's have a look. So that's dusk. What about dawn? Dawn looks pretty
pink.
good as well. Look at that. Wow.
But yeah, the lights turn on and off in the morning and the evening. They're not on all the time.
Yeah.
There might be a slight hit on performance, like a few FPS if you've got a weaker computer, but I feel like it's a fair enough trade-off.
Yes, definitely.
Because if you've got a computer that can run Roblox at full graphics quite easily, then you still have a solid 60 FPS. There's no FPS drops at all from it, which is I think is quite nice.
And on our way to Perth, we will pass St. Bartholomew, which I think looks really, really good with the new lighting that Orange has done. If in the rare scenario where there are multiple people who have access to the server options in the same server, so either one person is staff and one person is a VIP server owner or whatever, it actually, like, the slider actually, like, moves live on the other person's screen.
Okay. Yeah, look at that.
Wow.
The port here looks lovely.
Yeah, look. Oh my gosh, just look at that. That is just wow. This should not be allowed. This is just too good for Roblox.
Should we do a shout out to Aeronautica for the idea?
Yes, shout out to Aeronautica for having is it billboard GUIs for the sort of lights to make them see
one of the
high distances.
The staff were flying around on there, and they sent the screenshot. And I was like, "Damn, that looks good." So I used theirs as inspiration, and I can see why they've done it because it looks amazing.
It does.
So
really does.
thank you to them for the idea. Yeah, there you go. It's loaded in now.
Oh wow, look at that. As it loads in, you can just see those wonderful looking lights. Wow, look at that. That's just colourful. It's amazing. Wow.
If we go for an approach as well at Perth, you can see the updated runway landing lights.
Why didn't we use this as a great time for me to do the flaps and gear? If you give me some limited control.
Yes, here you go, sir.
Okay, I'm going to bring the gear down now. There we go.
Little overspeed on the gear. No, it doesn't do him any harm.
I'm just increasing the drag because yeah. We've just been playing DCS for a very long time. It's been great fun.
Oh yeah.
The F-15.
Sam definitely didn't crash at the end.
No. Okay.
Can I have flaps 1, please, sir?
Okay, flaps coming down. There we go.
Nice.
And
go on, another one as well for good measure. Go on.
Yes. Might as well.
So, terrible approach here, but don't worry about that. We've only got 131 minutes flown, as you can see, so I'm still learning the ropes. If you have a look before the end of the runway, you can see the little, I don't know what they're called. ILS, I think, is the correct. I forgot the term for them now, but
ILS is like the system.
All right, but yeah, they're there.
I don't know what they're called. I can't remember. The landing things that you see at big airports.
Yes, we have the 4 white. We got the 1 red now. Come on. It's a bit heavy, this boy. There we go, we're in land speed now, so we're the right speed for the landing.
Yeah, a nice bit of smoke there.
This can be a better landing than yours.
Kind of back as well. And if it's not too terrible, we hopefully won't remove it again. But it's difficult to get it right because Roblox just isn't very reliable.
For detecting collisions.
Right. Oh yes, another thing that I've done is push back. You can sort of be more precise with your speeds regardless of top speed of the plane. As you can see, my propellers, they're starting to become blurred now, and then they're fully blurred by now, and as you can see they look a lot better than just these that they were before. Cannot believe that we managed to get all the new features in one video. We have there were other things, but they were mainly sort of behind the scenes, like internal working, so I didn't include them in this video, but that is pretty much everything in this update. And let's see how long, I don't know how long the recording has been going, probably a very long time, but yeah, so this has been the past few months, we've been working hard, and quite a few bugs causing us setbacks and things, just going through, just fixing all the bugs, it's kind of, I'm amazed that we're finally done, because it was a huge task to get all this stuff done. It's probably the equivalent of 4 of the major updates that we do. I think the new plane kit is obviously a game changer, but then we've the lights are spectacular, and the sky and everything, it's pretty incredible. and it feels great that it's all done. And so if you're still watching to this point, I think the updates will be coming out relatively soon, next few days, maybe next week or so.
Yeah, around the 1st of October, hopefully. There's a lot of testing needed, and we need to get some public testing going at some point, hopefully. So keep your eye out on the test server. Test
server may be opened at some point, yes.
Indeed.
And so yeah, I guess that is us signing off after a very, very long period of working. It's honestly, a few months ago I was just starting from scratch with the new plane kit, and it's kind of amazing to see after how, Orange has spent like many hours implementing all the new planes into it. It's so cool to see them all updated with something that started just from an empty script to now a fully working kit with every plane in it. So it feels very good, and so thank you very much for watching. I really hope that you will enjoy the updates. We both spent a very long time working on this, and this is the next... I don't know what I'm saying. Anyway.
Next stage in the game.
Next stage in the game, yeah, pretty much.
You leveled up. It's now level 4 instead of, level 2.
Yes.
You can't use emotes yet, that's a shame. Goodbye!